This is part 3 of chapter 9.2 lecture on confidence intervals for population mean. Now we're going to do the last example, which is determining the sample size for a specific margin of error so that we can then ensure that we stay within some margin of error that we want, which means that we have to for sure sample a certain size population. In this case, there's a formula we use for that, n standing for sample size, for some level of confidence, right? That would be your alpha. The formula looks like this here. And that's the same z alpha over 2 that we've previously had in the last lecture, 9.1, divided by E, which is your margin of error, all of that squared. So that's the formula. In the previous lesson, we had two different formulas, depending if we had the estimate or not for the proportion. Here we just have one formula and we just follow it. So let's go ahead and consider that forward focus problem we worked on. How large a sample is required to estimate the mean miles per gallon within 0.5 miles per gallon with 95% confidence? And so in this case, we use S is the standard deviation, and so then we just go ahead and plug in. So in this case, 95% confidence means alpha equals 0.05, and then the z alpha over 2 that we need is 1.96. That's given. We have that from a previous lecture. This comes from because this is a 95% confidence interval, or a 95% level of confidence, and that's a given value that we had in some table. It's probably worth just showing you, reminding you again. In the 9.1 lecture, somewhere, there's the 1.96 again, 95% confidence interval right here. So when we're doing a 95% confidence, the z value is 1.96 given to us. And so that's all we do. We plug that in. We'll get there. Plug it in. We have that value. We have S. We have E. And then you just go ahead and calculate the sample size you need to ensure that you have a 0.5 margin of error. And so you would put 1.96, all of that times 2.92, that divided by 0.5, and that squared. Make sure you type that into the calculator correctly. You get 131.02, and so in this case, you need a sample size of at least n equals 132 to ensure a margin of error of 0.5. And that's it. It's a short little lecture and example. That's it for chapter 9.2.